Hi, I'm Melissa Cobb. Come fly with AOPA. This week we share 5 don'ts for flying with action cameras. The new nominee for FAA Administrator is an AOPA member, and flying the Beechcraft King Air with Garmin's Autoland.
AOPA keeps flying safe, accessible, and fun by protecting your freedom to fly. We are the most trusted one-stop resource for all things related to general aviation. Become an AOPA pilot today.
Action cameras are extremely popular in aviation, from capturing educational, instructional video to fun personal flights, but we do need to exercise caution when using them. And In-Flight Cam founder Patrick Carter actually shares 5 don'ts with us for when we're using aviation action cameras, and he also tells us why they're called idiot magnets.
All right, top 5 don'ts. Number 1, no sticky mounts outside the airplane. I mean, sticky mounts are great, and 3M VHB, the adhesive they use, the stuff's amazing. Outside an airplane, we have a couple things. 1, oil. I haven't seen an airplane yet that doesn't have a little oil on it. 2, temperature. So, you know, it can get really cold, not even that high, and that'll cause that VHB to come off at some point. Number 2, no suction cups outside the airplane. Suction cups, another great tool, but the problem is suction cups, the principle they work on is air and the volume of air, and as we climb that changes. So for that reason, suction cups never go outside the airplane. Our third reason, no tethers. Okay, we all like to keep that really, awesome new GoPro we bought. We don't want to lose it. We don't want it to fall off our airplane. So we tether it. And if you tether it to your airplane, that $400 GoPro might do $30,000 worth of damage to your wing. Okay, so what I recommend is don't tether your GoPro. Never mount it in front of something that could be catastrophic. We never ever mount a GoPro to any movable control surface. Make sure that anywhere I mount it, if it were to flop over on the mount and stay attached to the airplane, it can't jam a control surface. And then if you tether it, you increase the risk of it getting into a control surface also and jamming it, but you also guarantee that you'll do some kind of damage to your wing as the camera bounces. So I recommend not flying, A, mount your cameras where they won't fall off. B, don't fly over places that if the camera fell off would cause catastrophic or potentially catastrophic damage to someone on the ground. Number 4, don't overdo it. So what I see a lot of beginners do is they go out and they buy 4 or 5 new GoPros because they've seen great YouTube videos with these guys that have tons of experience. Oftentimes they come from a professional video background, so they know how to operate all this stuff. And then somebody that's never used a GoPro before, is learning to fly, is now trying to deal with 4 cameras and learn to fly at the same time. That's task saturation at its finest there. So I like to recommend start with 1, and then when you get that and you get your workflow figured out, add a few more cameras. And the last and most important thing is don't do anything for the camera that you wouldn't do without it. And this has some grim consequences that you don't have to look far to find examples of, some that I've dealt with personally and feel very strongly about. So if you put a camera on your airplane, I actually try to back it off a bit. If I'm flying for the camera, I try to do less than I would do without the camera. If I'm gonna do a landing somewhere off airport with a camera, I go somewhere that's less challenging than where I go without the camera, just to make sure that I'm not allowing the camera to influence my decision making. They have the nickname idiot magnets, and they've earned it when people cater to the camera and they try to do things that they wouldn't normally do.
That's wise advice from a true pro. Now, we also need to keep in mind how we're using our cell phones during flight, like capturing video and photos to either post later or right then on social media. Case in point is a fatal Cessna 182 accident in St. Louis, Michigan in 2021. The pilot was flying a pipeline patrol mission, and he was posting Snapchat videos along the way, and he had posted one shortly before he ran into a guy wire for a radio tower. Now, the NTSB released the probable cause of that 2021 accident and said that it was the pilot's failure to maintain visual contact with the radio tower and guy wires to avoid colliding with them. But as a contributing factor, they said it was the pilot's diminished attention on his flight path because of using his mobile device and uploading stuff to social media. You can read more about that accident on our website. We'll drop a link to that down in the video below. Well, it has been a long time coming, but President Joe Biden has announced a nominee for FAA administrator, and it's a name that's probably familiar to a lot of you, Michael Whitaker. So Michael is a pilot and an AOPA member. He was previously the deputy FAA administrator from 2013 to 2016. Right now, he's the COO of Supernal. That's a subsidiary of Hyundai Motor Group, and they're developing an electric advanced air mobility vehicle. AOPA President Mark Baker knows Michael Whitaker and has actually worked with him, and he shares his thoughts on Michael as a nominee.
I've known Michael since he started in the program in 2013 as a deputy, and he started getting his pilot's license shortly thereafter. And he's learned a lot about the system, what works and what's challenging, all the acronyms in aviation. He's going to be a good nominee.
Mark has called on the Senate to confirm Michael as the new FAA administrator as soon as possible. The FAA hasn't had a permanent administrator since Steve Dixon stepped down in 2022. The AOPA Aviator Showcase was a huge success last weekend. Pilots came from as far away as New Mexico and Massachusetts. They came to the consumer-based sales event to catch educational seminars, purchase products, talk to experts, get up close with aircraft on display, and of course, tour AOPA's headquarters. Now, you'll also have another opportunity coming up later this month, September 18th through 24th, to catch up with us. We're going to be at the Triple Tree Fly-In in Woodruff, South Carolina. We're going to be hosting the Oasis Hospitality Tent. So if you're heading that event, please stop in, sit down, chat with our team, get to know some of the staff at AOPA, have a drink. We'd love to see you there. We'll drop a link to that event information in the description below. H2 Fly is claiming that they just had the world's first piloted flight of a liquid hydrogen-powered electric aircraft. The HY4 demonstrator took off in Slovenia, and it's actually completed 4 flights, and the longest of those was more than 3 hours. Now, the demonstrator featured a hydrogen electric fuel cell propulsion system, and it was powered by cryogenically stored liquid hydrogen. H2 Fly said that the test showed that using liquid hydrogen instead of gaseous hydrogen will actually double the maximum range of the HY4 aircraft from 750 kilometers to 1,500 kilometers. And you can read more about that flight and the program on our website. We'll drop a link to that in the description below. Well, last week we talked to you about the baby steps the FAA announced for pilots who have certain histories of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Well, I spoke to our own resident expert, Gary Crump. He's the director of AOPA Pilot Information Center's Medical Certification Section, and I asked him to just break down what the new guidance means for pilots. You can catch that full interview on our YouTube channel. Just click on the card in the upper right of your screen. Well, finally this week, see what it's like to fly the Beechcraft King Air with Garmin's Autoland. Now, Autoland is technology that will take over, fly, and land the aircraft if the pilot is unresponsive or unconscious. It's already installed on the Piper M600 SLS, the TBM 940 and 960, and the Cirrus SF50 Vision Jet. The addition of it to the Beechcraft King Air is its first time being installed as a retrofit.
I'm Colin Stagnito with AOPA. We're here at New Century Air Center in Olathe, Kansas.
And I'm Jessica Koss, and I'm a pilot at Garmin.
And what are we going to be doing today, Jessica?
Today we're going to take Garmin's King Air 200 flying, which is equipped with auto throttle and Autoland.
All right, and this is a retrofit application.
It is the first retrofit installation of Autoland.
Fantastic. So we're going to take off and you're going to show me what auto throttle can do. And then as we come back to the airport, what's going to happen?
We're going to automatically land.
Fantastic. All right, well, come along with us and let's see how this works.
New Century ground. Garmin test 17 is a King Air 200. We're at Garmin North. We'll be VFR to the west, and we got the weather.
So what is this new taxi depiction
Yeah,
called?
so 3D exocentric safe taxi. So it overlays a 3D depiction of the airport environment, including hangars, buildings at the airport. Also, as you can see, hold short lines.
Yeah, I saw the movement.
November 5 Papa Delta, frequency change of
Here's where we'll start to see that PFD.
November 2 Charlie Juliet,
Go
record
back into
look
normal.
for departure now also.
Nice little pretty animation there.
Yeah, nice.
All right, you guys ready?
Ready?
All right. All right, the other auto throttles.
November
Now
1 Lima
active.
Bravo, are you heading directly west 270?
Yes, we are. 1 Lima Bravo.
Airport 11, New Century ground approved.
All right, I'm gonna get into the autopilot. You can see in terms of pilot workload, this takes a ton off
Absolutely.
King Air pilots.
So the throttles don't move on their own.
They are moving.
Oh, they are. They're moving just imperceptibly. Yeah.
I'm gonna let it speed up, and once we get straight and level, I'll flip it to manual mode. I'll kind of demonstrate
Okay.
pretty large power reduction. And again, I just want you to see how smooth, nice, and easy it is. See, I can control the speed selection. I'm gonna take it back to about 180. I just want you to watch.
Okay. Yeah.
Really
Now it's
come
more
back.
obvious, right?
Yeah.
No, it is super smooth.
New Century Tower, Garmin test 17.
Garmin test 17, New Century Tower.
Garmin test 17, we're about 19 miles to the west-northwest. We'd like to come in and do an Autoland demonstration, preferably on 18 if possible.
Garmin test 17, New Century Tower, roger, report a 10-mile final runway 18.
All right, report a 10-mile final runway 18, Garmin test 17. Let's do it.
So a good firm push. There you go.
Emergency Autoland activated. The Emergency Autoland system is controlling the aircraft and will land at the safest nearby airport. Please remain calm. Avoid touching the flight controls which may interfere with Autoland. Your destination is shown on the bottom of the left and right displays. Your estimated time to landing is shown on the top of all 3 displays.
So there you can see, it's selected New Century, runway 18. Really just talking the passengers through what's happening as we go along.
How long have you found on average it takes for it to select an airport to land at?
It takes things like wind into account, crosswind, headwind, runway slope and gradient, runway width, length, along with weather and terrain. So as it runs through that, it's typically taking about less than 30 seconds to pick an airport.
Impressive.
So as we turn about a 5-mile final, you can see the airport off to our right. The gear will lower, and then we'll go full flaps. All right, here comes the landing gear. Here's our 3 green annunciation. I'm gonna go ahead and match that with the handle.
So we're still on approach flaps.
Yep, and there are speed, distance, and altitude thresholds for all the configuration changes that it looks for before it's ready to make those changes.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and match that with the flap handle. So we're full flaps, 3 green, we're cleared to land.
Okay. So now it's just auto throttle and attitude just to stay on glide slope?
That's correct. It's the autopilot and the auto throttle working to keep us on the glide path as we approach runway 18.
And now, what would Tower be hearing from the aircraft at this point in time?
It's a periodic message that says who you are. In this case, November 288 Kilo Mike, King Air, inbound, emergency Autoland activated, pilot incapacitated, inbound for landing. And it would transmit that both on tower frequency and on 121.5. So here comes 45 feet. You'll see the throttles are going to start to roll back.
Yeah.
Go.
Nice.
That will still seek back to the center line.
Yep, and it'll apply moderate braking to slow the airplane down.
Yeah, that was very impressive. Great flare. You know, firm touchdown, which you want, but not bouncy.
All right.
I think passengers would love being on the ground. Well, it's an impressive demonstration. Hopefully it never has to be used in anger, but if it is, it's going to be an amazing save.
That's amazing technology, and it's so good to see it now becoming available in older aircraft. Now, certification is expected soon for it in the Beechcraft King Air. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Fly with AOPA. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest information. And this week, we leave you with some flying footage of Alina Scott, and she's flying her ultralight 1,000 miles over 6 days to get to EAA AirVenture. She did that this summer. Be sure to send in your favorite flying videos. We'll drop a link in the description below. And if you're not already an AOPA pilot, we'd love for you to join us. Just click on the link at the end of this video to learn more about our trial membership. We'll see you next week.